In this episode of OSFirstTimer, Dinah's going to be trying out EndeavourOS, which, unlike Arch Linux, isn't an endeavour to install. Will Dinah be able to successfully install it? Keep watching to find out. So here you are on the desktop of EndeavourOS Neo, released on September 26, 2024. This is a Linux distro based on Arch that uses a KDE Plasma desktop environment by default. EndeavourOS is made to be close to Arch Linux, but with the convenience of a GUI installer, because as many people know, Arch Linux has a text-based installation process that can be tough for newbies. So this OS is a way of getting Arch set up with ease. Since that is such a key part of this OS, I'll actually get you to have a go of installing this OS at the end of the video. So let's kind of breeze through these tasks and we'll get to the installation process at the end.
Well, let's just say what you said at the very beginning about GUIs and all this sort of stuff went straight over my head. Don't understand any of it, but I do understand it's not a Mac, it's not a Windows, it's a Linux.
Based on Arch. So
I didn't like Arch from memory.
What time is it?
Okay, 3:28 p.m.
Okay, next, can you write, save, open and delete a text document?
So it looks like it's got Firefox down here.
Yep. It looks very much like Windows 11. I feel it's got that feel to it.
Yeah. Dolphin. Oh, it's got my car. Do you have my car files on your...
No, it's just the name of the file manager.
Application launcher. Okay, so we've got Office. That's obviously going to be a...
Nope. Document viewer.
Why?
Just a document viewer in there.
Okay.
So where else do you think? It doesn't need to be an Office program. Obviously, this has no Office program installed. Actually, by default, this is actually a very minimalistic...
Utilities, maybe.
Ah, you got some stuff in there.
Okay, so kwrite. New file. So this is a new file.
So by default, there's actually no Office installed because this is supposed to be a very minimalistic operating system because, as you know, Arch doesn't have bloatware. So this is trying to be the same. It's basically Arch. You've got no bloatware here. There we go.
Okay, so let's have a look.
Save.
File. Oh, save as. Oh, I went there.
Yeah, but it's all there. New, open,
so it
save.
Is. Okay.
Now, where are you going to save it to in our document folder? Not the desktop. I know you love the desktop, but we always got to show off the file manager.
Save it in the documents.
And we'll name
it saved file.
You know, with this interface,
unique.
It's got the KDE Plasma desktop environment, and I find this feels, just the way it's set up here, looks very much like Windows 11. Like someone from Windows 11 could come and use this pretty easily, I think. So, documents. Well, I actually was not watching what you were doing.
Where is my saved file? But I saved it to documents.
No, you saved it in this folder without that.
Look,
but put it in the documents folder.
It's in the documents now. Documents.
Saved file.
Saved file. And now...
So how are you going to delete it? Oh, by the way, there's a zoom thing at the bottom. So have a little play with that. So if you want your files to be bigger or littler, you know, you've got that option.
That'll do. How do I delete it? There's no real...
Well, how do you usually delete a file?
I can't think I haven't deleted
Pretend it's
a file
Windows
for
11. What do you do in Windows 11?
I can't even remember now. Wait a sec.
Okay, I think you need a reset, a mental reset. You are here in Windows 11. Pretend it's Windows 11. There's a file, and you want to remove it from your computer.
It's just that it looks totally different from everything. The background's different. Everything's different. Don't you just...
Yeah,
right click on it. That's it. And then
you can delete it from here.
Where's the delete thing? Cut, copy, duplicate, rename, move, open.
No, move. Keep reading that word.
Move to new...
No, the above that.
Move to waste bin. Oh,
yeah.
Well, what does it just say? Delete. Not move to... I'm looking for D. Delete.
Yeah, I know.
The others have delete.
Can you see the bin anywhere?
No. Is it down here somewhere?
Can I just say, there's a different Diana. You remember in Crash Bandicoot 2, you just went bad mode all of a sudden? You're in bad mode for Diana on operating systems right now.
I don't know. It's this rocket launching thing and that, planet there that's just...
How about you change the desktop background while we're here? Just change it. If that's distracting you so much,
it's distracting
change the desktop background.
Okay. Desktop and wallpaper.
But before you do. But this kind of messes up because the desktop kind of had something on it that I needed to mention.
Okay.
Well, EndeavourOS, after 5 years, the journey continues, the future awaits. Okay, you can change the desktop background.
Trying to show you the desktop.
Yeah, so basically I'll explain what this journey is, and after 5 years of continuing, I'll explain it. Anyway, there's not many options. You've got Scarlet Tree or EndeavourOS. What do you prefer?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But I want to get a new one.
No, just... There you go.
Okay.
Is that less distracting to you?
Not really.
Apply.
Looks very cartoony. Okay, well, I've changed the desktop background.
Can
so
you
there we go.
delete the file from the bin now?
So let's have a look. Waste bin is
There
there.
you go.
And then I'm going to... Yes. Why is it? Here there was a delete and the other one was move to waste bin. Why not just say delete?
Did it actually have delete?
Yes.
Oh, because you weren't technically deleting it before, you were moving it to a waste bin.
But what's the point of moving something to a waste bin when the whole point is you're going to delete it anyway?
Because you might, people change their mind.
Well, then just
especially
don't delete
women.
it.
Can you now calculate?
We've got...
Look at the icons.
Yeah.
Like, it was a pretty good icon. I said to Gemini, can you come up with a funny calculation that equals 2019?
Yep.
And this is the calculation it came up with. 2019.
Times 1. Let me guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go. 2019 times 1.
That's just ridiculous. And that's supposed to be some...
And that's what it came up with.
And that's funny.
And
Probably
I said...
because it's so basic and so silly that who would be calculating
And
that?
I said, explain why that's funny. And do you know what it said to me?
What?
It said, that joke isn't funny. It's a simple mathematical fact, not a humorous punchline. So the fact that Gemini came up with that when I asked for a funny calculation, but then when further questioned denied that it was funny, proves that Gemini suffers from cognitive dissonance.
It is technically funny because I'm thinking now, the fact that you asked it for that
Yeah.
calculation and
Give
that's
me-
what it came up with.
It's like
I
so
found
basic.
that funny, that it was so stupidly basic, that it is funny.
Yeah, in a way.
So, but it didn't...
Remember
it
that other
forgot.
episode? I was like, come up with funny calculation.
Yeah.
I was like, this time I'll get Gemini to find a funny calculation from it. The reason I had the calculation equal 2019 is because that's when this OS started its life.
Well, did it
5
really
years.
start in 2019 and yet it was released in 2000? 5 years in the making for this.
No. It's not in the making. People have been using it all that time.
So it was the earlier versions of it were released in 2000. Well, the first version of it was released
Yeah.
in 2019, and they've had different versions of this same operating system released since.
So there we go. You've done all the tasks.
Yep.
By default, EndeavourOS has no bloatware.
And what does that mean?
It comes with only necessary packages.
So it's not bloated, as in inflated with all these unnecessary things.
Yeah, so just open the
Okay.
start menu.
So that's the start menu, yeah.
There's really not
menus.
much there.
But there isn't, yeah, that's right.
There-
And there's not even... Actually,
An
here's
Office program. Yeah, that's all
here's
the
a scroll
applications.
down.
Yeah, that's all of them. It's really got
But none
nothing.
of them, no other ones have a scroll. Oh, yeah, that one
Yeah,
does.
that one does.
System does. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's really got not much in it. That's what it means by no bloatware. Well, by the way, just out of interest, let's say you wanted a calculator and the right program in the taskbar. What do you think you'd do?
Oh, you just grab it and move it
Perfect. How simple is that?
Yeah.
It is, however, a terminal-centric distro. So there's no graphical interface for installing packages by default.
Oh, so if you wanted to install
New
other
programs.
things, you'd have to do it via text, not by...
Correct.
Okay.
So, yeah, let's give you an example of this right now. So, if you want to install something, you need to open up Terminal, right? This console here. So, it's noob-friendly to install this operating system, but it's not noob-friendly to install a program on it. If you want to install a program, let's say from the Arch user repository, let's say there was a game you wanted. List of games.
Abuse.
Okay, abuse. So, let's say you want that, right?
Mm-hmm. I don't want abuse.
Sorry, it doesn't sound good the way I just said it. Let's say you want that. What you do is you type in yay and then -s abuse. Okay. This is not working well. Yay abuse. Okay, that
They don't go together.
They don't. You press enter if you want that. Then it says, okay, there's some dependencies. And then I'm not going to clean build any of them, so I'll say none. It won't show any diffs. Yeah. And then it'll go ahead and start installing and doing all that kind of stuff. So you really need to know your... Oh, and do you want to remove the make dependencies after install? Yes or no? You do? Okay.
Yep.
In other words, it's saying, look, to sort of install this, we needed to get some extra programs. We needed to get some extra stuff. Once you've installed it, you don't need that stuff anymore. So do you want to get rid of that stuff?
Oh, well, that's a good idea. Get rid of it because it's just cluttering.
Yeah, exactly. So
it was a good thing that I said.
And then you type your password in and stuff, and you go on it, and then it shows you, look, this is what you're going to need to get abuse.
Yep.
So if you want that, you need, 14 megabytes, and then installation size is 85. So if you want to proceed with installation of abuse, press Y, and then, it'll go and it'll start installing abuse.
Can't wait.
I don't know why it won't install abuse. It just got stuck
YouTube guidelines, maybe.
Yeah, the YouTube guidelines. But anyway, that's how you would go ahead and install something on this operating system. Mm-hmm. So yeah, see how it's not user friendly to install. It's not an app store.
What's with the yay? I mean, why not just install?
Usually it's Pacman, but if you want to get something off the Arch user repository, you use yay. Pacman, I believe, is package manager. So every piece of program, in Arch and stuff, you'd call it a package. A game. Oh, that's a package. What package is that?
But then how was Pac-Man able to name its game Pac-Man without copyrights?
No, it's just package
Or did
manager.
Pac-Man come first?
It feels like a pretty user-friendly operating system to navigate to already installed things. And it doesn't come with bloatware and stuff, but at the same time, it's not noob friendly for someone who wants to use an Arch Linux distribution.
Who would have thought of yay to install?
It's definitely not noob friendly for installing new programs.
Yes and no to all these different things. Just as well I picked the right thing.
But let's show you what is noob friendly. Before you check out the great GUI installer this program has, I want you to shut down the operating system.
I'm sure it would be there. My actual computer has a little shutdown thing.
It's right there.
Yeah, my actual shutdown thing has an actual button because I'm sick of going to the menu for it.
I know.
I got on you to make me
an icon on your desktop that shuts down.
Shut down, yeah.
Anyway, Diana, shutting down in 1918. Imagine if you got the AI to do a dramatic voice. Shutting down in 1918. So anyway.
It'll miss 9.
Yeah.
It'll miss 9 like it did in the last one. I still can't get over that AI thing I tried out, and it misses 9, and it says it deliberately did that.
So EndeavourOS default. So when you boot this up, you've put in a disk into the computer, and it's going to start getting you ready to install the operating system. So if you don't know, Arch Linux is a nightmare to install. Okay, you got to go through all these. They usually the advice
Everything about Arch Linux is a nightmare.
No, it's great for people who want to do everything manually and really customize it their way, Everything is done bit by bit. But usually with Arch Linux, you want to install it? Well, you got to follow the wiki, Follow the wiki is the thing you say. And people say, don't make a video of how to install it because it'll keep changing. Just follow the wiki. That's the up-to-date way of how to install Arch Linux. And you got to type in, it's all a text-based installation. It's not simple. It's not easy. You got to plan everything yourself.
To do it.
Okay. So this is what they mean by follow the wiki. You've got the Arch installation guide. So you boot into the live environment. Then you have to set everything up yourself. You type in all these commands and stuff and verify the boot mode, connect to the internet. You have to ping and make sure it's, all connected and stuff. You update the system clock. Then you have to partition the disk. And you don't have
pinging was something you actually do when you can't find your phone and you ping it.
It's kind of the same. Like when you ping, you'd see if the internet's working. You'd ping at archlinux.org. Instead of taking you to the website, what it does is it just checks, can it access a website? It's almost like, oh, yep, that server has responded to this ping, It's kind of like this. And so you have to partition the disks. So what you'd then do is then you type fdisk, the one to be partitioned, then it gives you all of these examples. It's all text-based. So you're doing everything, and then you set up the swap partition and stuff, and then you have to mount the file systems and get that mounted. And then you start selecting the mirrors of where you want to install it from, packstrap/k, and you keep going. Then you configure the system, fstab, troot, you know what I mean, and a time, and you see and you're
do this?
It's a text-based interface, and you have to type in all these commands, and it's not just copying exactly what they says. You will have to, customize it to your system. Then you're going to set up the password and stuff. Then you reboot, and then you've installed it. But guess what?
It's time for bed after all that.
After all of that, Arch Linux
Or it's been replaced with the next one.
After that, no, it's a rolling release, so it updates itself. Anyway,
I'm just emphasising how long it takes to go through this.
Okay, but then after that, Arch Linux, you know what? You boot it up and it's like MS-DOS. There's no interface, there's no taskbar, there's no start menu. You've got to then set up...
and you've always got the latest version.
Then you've got to set up the desktop environment yourself.
So it's still...
So it's not... So even after you've installed it, you've still got a text-based interface.
There's still stuff to do.
You've got to set up your... Well, if you want a desktop, you don't have to have one. You can just keep it text-based if you want.
I don't want it text-based.
Anyway,
that's my worst nightmare.
The whole point of this operating system, EndeavourOS, is so that you don't have to do any of that. You want Arch Linux set up, guess what? So here it is. This is what happens when you're ready to install it. So this is EndeavourOS's graphical user interface, that's what GUI means, or GUI means, for installing it. So how do you think you would install EndeavourOS, which is basically...
Well, you'd start the installer, obviously.
You can do an online or an offline. We're going to do today an online install, because this means you get to choose what desktop environment you want to install this with. So by default, it gets installed with this one that looks a little bit like Windows 11, which is called KDE Plasma Desktop, but we're going to choose something else. What version of English do you speak?
The one that's right there.
Which is what?
It's just normal English. But why did it say American English?
Because American English is different.
So it's British English, probably.
Yeah, we use the British English here in Australia. Okay, now click where you live. See if you can aim at Hobart. See if you can. Click and aim it there. Hey, you did it! Good job. Imagine doing this all text-based and manually. Now you're going to set up the keyboard. What keyboard do you think you use?
I'm thinking it's probably just the US. Oh, no, English New Zealand. Because we're always English Australia.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's just that it's always Australia.
I'll show you the difference between them. If we chose UK, click on UK. Look at these buttons up here. Look at where you've got the key 1, 2, 3, and see there's pounds and stuff there, and it's a bit different. But if you change it to Australia, the right symbols and stuff will come up.
And what about New Zealand?
They're pretty much the same. I wouldn't worry.
It's always, because normally when there's choosing things, it's always Australia, New Zealand.
Yeah, combined. But they separated it this time. Now you can see you're up to the desktop thing. So this is where you get to choose your desktop environment. Now, by default, this is actually not a part of the installation for Arch Linux, because, you'd install it and you do this after you've already installed it. But here we go. What desktop environment do you want?
Well, this one is the current one that you had.
So you choose something else. You've got Gnome, XFCE4, Cinnamon, Mate, Budgie,
Budgie.
Qt.
I used to like Budgies. I used to have Budgies as a kid. But for some reason, I like that. That reminds me of the Paramount symbol. It reminds me of I'm about to watch a movie type thing.
Just going through a request. You actually don't click there. Just going through a request. People really wanted to see you one day try out the Gnome desktop environment, just by default. Did you want to try Gnome?
Okay, we'll do that because
people have been requesting it. So if you click Gnome up there...
So you see, now that's...
Oh, actually, you can have a little look at what they all look like.
Can I just say, I'm actually disappointed that you don't just click on it.
Well, they can probably add that to make it more simple. But see, you go, that's KDE, and then you can click on each one to see what it looks like.
Gnome.
That's Gnome.
We'll go the Gnome because that's what they wanted.
Okay, great. Next, those are all the default packages. If you didn't want, for example,
a
firewall, you could untick it. If you don't want your Firefox, you untick it. So anyway... So next up, you're going to choose a bootloader option for your install, or just have the default. So do you want the Grub bootloader or no bootloader?
Well, if we've got gnomes, we may as well have grubs because they're usually in the garden together. So,
good choice. So are you going to erase the disk or manually partition it yourself?
We'll erase it.
Fantastic. Now, would you like a swap or no swap? So that's if the RAM gets overloaded and then it uses some of the hard disk. That's kind of what swap's for. You don't worry about it. Can you imagine, though, if this was all text-based and you had to know what commands to type in?
I know, exactly.
By following the Ricky, you read the commands. This is just, everything's here. It does it for you. This is what this operating system is known for, not what you really tried out.
Okay, so then you type in all your stuff. Do you want me to do that?
Yeah, go ahead. Just don't do your whole name.
Okay.
And install now.
That was easy.
And that's how easy it is.
There was only a few little things I wasn't sure of, but even if you made the wrong, thing, it's nothing that bad.
Exactly. Now, can you imagine trying to install this?
Do that text-based, no way. Threat.
Oh, you can close that.
AVG considers this Gnome grub thing a threat.
Just didn't like that repo.
Okay. Maybe it watched a few too many horror movies and thinks it's a grand reaper.
Sorry, Diana's just disappeared. She's just quickly gone for a snack while it installs, because it did take a while to install. Just going to click restart now. So this is the grub boot up screen. So this is EndeavourOS's main login screen. So do you know how you'd log in?
Probably
well, actually, this is specifically
that.
Gnome, because you installed what desktop environment? You got Gnome. This is Gnome. See how it looks quite different to what you had before?
Oh, now it's gone. That little thing at the bottom's gone.
So up here, I think you got. I actually don't know how Gnome works, so you're gonna have to figure this out. So you click that.
What?
And that
then
takes
it comes
you,
like a Mac.
and then that takes you to your desktop, like, you know, what desktop 1 or desktop 2, so you can kind of switch between them, obviously. So if you want to have two different setups. So that's almost like a little switcher up there.
Okay.
And then programs. How do you think you'd access programs with Gnome?
Probably one of these things, I'm assuming.
Look at the last one. What's it say?
Apps.
Show apps. And then it shows you all the programs on your computer,
Yeah.
nice and big and easy to see. You can see the calculator there and various
This is
other
very
things.
Mac-like, though. This
is.
is like one of those. What do they call the dock?
The dock.
That's what.
Okay, let's pretend, for example, you wanted to open calculator here in Gnome. How do you think you'd do that?
There we go. Plus minus.
Great. Got these nice rounded, and it's just a little X there.
Yep, to
So I
close
think that's
it.
pretty simple, hey?
Yep.
So what do you think? Do you think it looks actually okay with Gnome? Is this an interesting...
What is the point of this? Is this just to make it all full screen, clean, and without things on it? But then if you need to...
No, this is if you want to switch, like you're working on stuff here. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I'll give you an example. You're working here, you're like, oh yes, my very financial important stuff I'm doing. Let's get financial here. Yes, doing all my financial stuff. I'm nerd and I've got all my system monitorers here and all of that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, all doing important stuff. And then all of a sudden someone comes into the room. Oh, excuse me, I just need to use your computer for a moment. Oh yeah, sure. And then that
Or
person...
you just want to hide what you were doing.
No. And that person comes in and, you know, that person...
So have the homework on one desktop thing and then all the real stuff that you're actually doing on the other.
Well, you could technically do that. Where is the web browser? Sorry, I just can't find... Does this come with Firefox? Oh, there it does. Well, where was it? There you go. There's Firefox. And someone's like, yes, I would like to use your computer. And then, you know, they do their little things. So they do all what they're looking up and stuff, you know, Barbie and all of that. And then they're doing that. And then you say, oh, I need to go back. Important finance stuff just came in. And then boom, oh, yep, doing that. And then a third person comes and says, oh, hey, you know...
You may as well, like... How many people... I would be actually quite worried if you're sitting there trying to do important stuff and you've got all these people that come in and want to look at Barbie or want to do this.
It's an example.
I mean, get their own computer. Seriously.
And this person's like, oh yes, I'm a weather nerd, and you know I do weather stuff.
Well, get your own computer and you can do all the weather nerd stuff that you want. Can
I just say that sounds like such a funny thing, a weather nerd. But anyway, and they do their stuff there. So that's the idea of multiple, and then a fourth person can have their desktop set up, and you know you can have lots of different desktops set up.
You can technically be doing multitasking and doing lots of things at once.
Yeah, you know how sometimes...
Like keeping your eye on the stock market, but then you need to do a few other things here. But then let's flip back to the stock market and see how that's going.
It's almost like having multiple monitors. It's like, I want 4 monitors, but I've only got 1 monitor, you know, and you can set up things on different monitors.
But I've seen that before.
Yeah, it is common. You've even got it in Windows. But this, I think this looks very visually pleasing. What do you think? Do you prefer Gnome to the other interface, or do you think you preferred KDE Plasma a bit better?
Well, this one has the advantage of multitasking. I mean, forget about this. Somebody comes into your room.
Icons.
No, forget about this. Somebody comes into your room and wants Barbie, or somebody wants to look up weather nerd stuff or whatever. Forget about all of that. But just for yourself, if you were just multitasking, you had your stock market live share stuff happening here, but then you were doing a little search over here, or you know, I can see it, but you see, it's not unique. It's something. It's
a nice interface though.
It's okay, and then you got your Mac dock there at the bottom. That's what that reminds me.
Yeah.
It's like a Windows and Mac
combined.
But
here, you don't see the dock at the bottom.
And I don't like that. I like to actually see
you like
it.
to have it at all
I like
times.
to have the taskbar right at the bottom as a fixed thing
Yeah.
that does not go away. You see it all the time, and that way you can click onto things as you need to.
And that's what it kind of looks like here, and you can obviously switch between dark mode, which, see, this is darker. Like, actually, we'd probably better have an application open if I'm going to be showing this. Let's get the calculator up.
So
this
that's
is with dark mode on and light mode. So all your windows change, but at night time you might want that.
Yeah.
You know, and all your apps kind of change to look, you know, like with the dark mode on and stuff. And there's your settings app. So you notice everything is quite like that, and you change it to dark mode, and they all change to dark mode.
Yeah.
So there you go. What mode do you generally use? Do you generally use this?
I do actually generally use the light mode.
But there you go. So yeah, that's obviously a nice clean desktop for people who like clean desktop with no bars or anything on them. And if they want their apps, they're here. And then if they want more apps, you know, they can show all of them and do that. So that's what that looks like. So yeah, that's EndeavourOS. If you want Arch Linux, where you can set it up with an easy installer, there it is.
Without having to consult the wiki on all these numerous steps.
Things. So yeah, it's Arch Linux where you don't need the wiki to set the operating system up. But you still probably want it and look at, you know, and stuff when you're installing programs, because it's not really easy to install programs.
Yeah.
There's probably another distro out there.
Because you have to go yay.
Yeah, yay. Or Pac-Man and all that kind of stuff. Depends if you're getting it from the Arch user depository and so on. But anyway, that is EndeavourOS. We will... But do you know what makes me confused? Who would use this? It makes Arch super easy to install.
So in other words, somebody that is not very knowledgeable about the programming and all this Arch text-based stuff...
It's definitely not for a newbie user. I think it's for someone who knows how to use Arch Linux, is comfortable with using a terminal to install programs, but is so sick of installing Arch Linux with that text-based setup, and they just want it all done for them.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, it's definitely not a newbie-friendly distro, unless you're confident with a terminal. But anyway, that was our little look at EndeavourOS. We'll see you guys in the next episode.
See you next time.